What's up, everyone? How are we doing? How are we doing today? Um, yeah, what an amazing day. Another amazing day added to the journey. Um, Hopefully, everyone's well. Hopefully, everyone's enjoying Friday. I know that a lot of people, I used to really look forward to Fridays, coming to the end of the week, time to party, time to get ready to go and play some sports. But now, Monday's my new Friday. Just really looking forward to being around people. But yeah, no, what's up, people? What's up? Um, Hopefully everyone's well. No, nothing but love to everyone. Another productive day today in terms of mahi, in terms of work. Um, yeah, so it's been an awesome. It's been really cool. Been really good, very good. Um, Cordial going on, a bit of talking, a lot of listening too. Maybe it's not doesn't sound right. A lot of listening as well happening in terms of some of the issues, some of the topics, some of the concerns. I don't like using the word issues, but some of the concerns that it's been taking place in many communities. The previous couple of times that we've done a live, we've discussed some really good topics in relations to fathers, in relations to dads, but also in terms of men in general. So tonight, as I set up for tonight, we're just gonna have a little yarn, bit of a yarn around some of the issues that impact on fathers, impact on dads, in terms of our duties as fathers. What do you see as our duties? Where is there, is there a set amount or set type of duties that there's an expectation for fathers to do, for dads to do, in terms of their family or in terms of their community? Yeah, so just looking at clarifying some of those, I guess, debatable topics. Once again, it's Steady Duties with your boy Jay. No judgment. This space here is around promoting, supporting, and encouraging our fathers in terms of the amazing things that they're doing around the world with their families, with their kids, and their community. So, big what's up. Um, yeah, so if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions, please comment, drop us a comment, and share your corridor too. Share your views, share your perspective, because this space here is around multiple perspectives. But at the end of the day, it's up to the person and how solidified you are with your own identity, and with who you are, whether you're gonna allow other perspectives to influence your own thinking and your own kind of mindset. So yes, people, fathers and our families, eh? So one of the issues or one of the concerns that I'll just share some stuff that comes up through work. One of the concerns that I come across in terms of my work as a social worker, um, there's been a lot of views from people that the impact of not having dads present in terms of them growing up, in terms of their life. So we often hear youth, kids, male, female, kind of alluded to the idea that they behave the way they behave when they make mistakes or when they play up in a way, because they never have a male role model or they never have a father in their life. So yeah, so it's an interesting topic and it's quite sensitive as well. So I can't stress that enough in terms of this space, that there's no judgment. This is a space to share different perspectives, and it's okay for people to say what they need to say. But the key is that we have to respect that space, respect what people are saying. It's not about imposing my views or my beliefs or my values onto anyone. It's just purely me putting my perspective out there, and then it's up to people what they do with it. Um, whether they say negative comments about me and what I'm saying, that's fine. That's your buzz, mate. You're on your own waka there. That doesn't even impact on my thinking and the way I view things. So where were we? So yeah, kids. The idea of when they get caught through a situation, whether they're playing up, something happened in their lives, they often refer to that concern of not having fathers or a role model, a male role model sometimes in their lives. So, what do you think? Is that yeah, is that acceptable, or is that relevant to when things happens in a way that it's not appreciated in our communities? Because that's often the some of the some of the corridor that comes through from our young people when or from some even other professionals. They do assessments, when they carried out assessments, and that often comes up. Oh, he's like this because he can't relate to people, he can't stay still because he grew up without a father. Is that true? What do you think? So that's our really main topic for tonight. And plus, any other thing that you might want to bring up, please drop us a comment to see what you think. It will be awesome to hear from you. So in terms of that question and what my thoughts are, it's I don't truly believe in that statement. You okay, baby? I don't truly believe that growing up without a father or growing up without a male role model in your life impact on you in a negative way, and that's just purely my own perspective, and that's based on my experience. I was, my father was around, my family was around, but my point is that father's not around. I was surrounded by a lot of loving people, and that's the key. And I was always attached to where I come from, and I always knew where I come from and where I belong. So that was massive. You can have, for example, you can have two kids growing up in the same family, go through the same experience, but why does one go this way, which is why is one ended up in becoming going in a good way to make it easier, and the other one go to the negative way? So why is that? And yet they would come from the same family. So that's why I think sometimes that statement can be seen as an excuse, because I truly believe that at the end of the day we all have a decision to make, whether our upbringing was great or our upbringing was not so good. And it comes back to you knowing who you are and self-awareness. Yeah, so people, what do we think? Is that a question? Is that even relevant? That kind of question? This is just an idea that I'm putting out there because it comes up often in my line of work as a social worker. When professionals carry out their assessments, it's often the go-to for some of the kids or for some of the youth. And I acknowledge that, it might be true. And it's totally, I'm not taking anything away from people's experiences, but I'm just saying what I feel and what I've seen, observed, and what I experience as well. Because I guess one of the other things that I kind of shift my mindset to is that I see all those challenges as an opportunity to grow. Whether, for example, growing up without a father or whatever, I'm not saying I did because I had a loving father, um, and that's why I'm trying to do exactly the same thing with my kids. It's to be around, to be present, especially at this young age when the kids are, all under 16s. Um, because often people, we as fathers often, they're like, oh yeah, they'll remember. I can't remember what I did when I was 2, 3, 4. Even when I was 6, I can't even remember like what happened. So like who was around. Yeah. So it's hard when people are not around. Eh. So hence why sometimes maybe it is true when people when kids say, oh, I act this way because I never have a role model, or I act this way because I had no father figure to look up to. So yeah, now I'm totally off track, but that's where things are at in terms of that culprit, in terms of that topic. um as I said before, it's toxic relationships are one of the reasons why fathers aren't. True, bro. Yeah, that's so true, boy. Um, that's right. And sometimes too, and I'm not saying that fathers and mothers have to be together for the sake of their kids, because honestly, some relationships is better for the father and mother to separate. And that's just the truth. It's a lot better um for the parents to separate in terms of the safety of the kids, safety of the adults, but also the development of the family and the kids. So, yeah, so what's the point of being in a relationship um, if it's toxic, So for me, I'm totally with that. But then I've also known people that's been in those toxic relationships for a long time, but they just continue to grind, and work at it, and eventually, they'll come out of it. But saying that, they have to put themselves through a lot. So yeah, so big, much love to those who does that. And that's, I guess, if you can say that's love, then that's love for you. No judgment. Who am I to say what it is? Apart from, as long as you're aware, as long as you're happy, remember, stay happy. That's the key. But the impact of those relationships, we have to manage those in terms of the impact of those onto our kids, our young ones. um yeah. So yeah, and people go through cycles, in terms of their lives and their journey. For me, I've got 5 kids. um and it's not easy. And the mature I got, I guess, the lifestyle changes. When you're younger, it's all about going out, playing rugby, do the things with the boys, trying to looking forward to Fridays. Yeah, time to party. Then Saturday, spend the whole day at the rugby field, and then drinking after that again. It's such a culture, eh? But the older you get, I guess you get a bit more mature. You start seeing life in a different light, and you start changing the way you behave. So yeah, so it becomes around your behavior too. We can talk about this stuff, but if there's no action, so then what's the point? Yeah, people, as I said, this space here is just for us to share. Thank you for that comment, Pui. I totally agree, man. Totally support that. What's the point to be in the relationship if it's too toxic? Because the impact of that has, can further damage the relationship with the kids rather than to support the kids. Um, yeah, one of the other things that I want to talk about too, is this whole idea of self awareness. Yeah, as I said last night, I'm doing this because I want to put myself in a space where I'm accountable, um, in terms of being real. You know, I'm all about my family in terms of me, my wife, and my kids. You know, my parents are my parents, my siblings are my siblings. No one can change that. But my priority, it's around my kids. That's my priority. Um, so if people, when people start talking about things like, oh, why do you give advice and yet you don't do this at home? You know, I hope, I hope people are not doing it, because I truly see that in my heart. I'm not, I don't really, I can't even hear what that is in my circle, in my mindset, because I'm purely about my kids, my family, which is my kids and my wife, first and foremost, ensuring that they are safe and that they're in a good place. And then after that, it's you start to expand out. You know, my family will always be my family. In terms of my parents, in terms of siblings and so forth, cousins and that. Whatever happens after that, it is what it is. But yeah. So mindset, self awareness as fathers, um, we need to, yeah, continue to find the purpose of our why. What is your why? We sounds cliche, but find your purpose, and that is my purpose. Really, is my kids. That's what it is. I've gone past that state of the relationship with families where I was so in a space where I needed to please everyone, even at work. Now it's about um, being in a place of happiness, and a place where I can look after the kids, look after the wife, but most importantly, look after myself. So we need to learn to find ways to de-stress ourselves, find ways where we can take ourselves out of many situations, different situations that might come our way. And one of those situations is when people throw stuff at you, in terms of whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on wherever. Even when you see them, they do those little digs at you and so forth. Man, in my head, I'm just laughing and I'm like, man, just have no idea. Yeah. So in terms of that, people, as I said, as a father, my first and foremost priority, my duty, because tonight is about duties, my key duties is to ensure that my kids are safe, my kids are happy, and my family, my immediate families, before I look out elsewhere. And I think, well, I hope, I know, I truly know, believe that my kids are in a good space with their schools, they're happy, with home, our relationships is growing, and I want to get to a space where my kids can come and yeah, talk to me about anything, because that's being a hurdle, that's being a problem for so many, and I'm going to be honest, for so many of us specific, especially us specific males. We always have, there's always a challenge, there's always a barrier between us and our parents, to be able to articulate, to be able to question, to be able to ask, or to even just to have a conversation around certain things. We're so used to the idea that it's about um, being seen but not heard, you know, um, and it's kind of like, it's interesting, eh? So parenting is it's an interesting topic, um, interesting journey, but I guess one of the key things that I know is to allow yourself to make mistakes as a parent, and then learn from it. It's okay to lose. It's okay to make mistakes, because the process that you go through is where the learning is, not the outcome. Lose to learn rather than just to win all the time, and you ended up not knowing the value of winning. But where you lose, and learn through that process, by the time you win, you really value that win. Whether it's that much or that much, whether it's that big or so. Yeah, so people, don't be afraid, make mistakes. As a dad, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, still making mistakes, but every time I make mistakes, I reflect, and learn from it and be able to improve, um, moving forward. We all know that the talk. There's no one's perfect, so totally agree with that. We are in a space where we need to learn, and let's not rush too. As parents, we I feel like, and I was in that, in maybe in my first couple of kids. The first two kids was like trying to rush through. Oh, I can't wait for them to turn 18 so they can move out. But now in reflection, now they're like 16, 14. They're at that age now. It's not long to go before they actually turn 18. And in reflection, you're like, man, time has gone so fast. I really, really miss those days, when those older ones just rock up to you and give you a hug, rock up to you, give you a kiss. Now they're slowly, moving on, even though, not moving on in terms of leaving us behind, but they're slowly exploring life. And as a dad, I'm always about giving my kids the opportunity to live life. Not for me to live my life through them, but it's for them to live their own life, and make their mistakes so they can learn from it. So that's one thing as a dad that I'm looking forward to, and I'm really to, kind of really, it's hard to do, but I'm gonna let go of that, let that fear of, the fear of thinking, oh, is my kid gonna be okay? Because I know the universe is gonna look after them. I know, because of the values and beliefs that we instill in them now, through our teachings, through the way we do things at home, the way we communicate with them. Um, I truly believe through those teachings and all the stuff that we do at home, preparing them for life, it's gonna ease their way into, to the real world. Really, we cannot wrap them around us all the time because we won't be around forever. So, there's a challenge for some of us parents, so especially dads with their daughters. I've got three daughters, beautiful daughters, and it's going to be tough when I see them go. However, um, I'm in that space that I'm willing to let them go to explore life, and make those mistakes and learn from it. Because at the end of the day, I will always be here. I will always be their dad, and I'm always here to pick them up. So yes, people, what are your thoughts? There's some good talk coming through, some good, perspectives, all about perspectives tonight. And this is a space where we share being dads, share the idea of, what are parenting skills as well, if you want to call it that way. Advice. I don't know if you want to call it advice, but yeah, it is what it is. It's just a space for your boy Jay here with Daddy Duties just to share. But I'm really keen to hear what people think, because I know that there's some amazing dads out there. There's dads who are doing amazing things with their families. Not even nowhere. I'm nowhere near what they do. In terms of the kids, work, family, church. And that's another thing too that we have to be mindful of too, that as islanders, as Pacific as Polynesian, we don't just belong to one group, you know. And that's why for me, prioritizing my kids is the key, because I don't just belong here in this household. I'm spread out in many other parts of the community, and just like everyone else, you got your church community, sports community, families, friends, study. I know that there's a lot going on, but we have to prioritize our focus in terms of what's important to you and what's important to me. So that's a bit of my, talk tonight in terms of sharing what's my priorities are in terms of my kids, wife, and then everyone else, such as, parents, siblings, and so forth, because they're my families. They'll always be my families, no matter what. Um, So the third thing that maybe we're gonna talk about something that I'm really passionate about, um, and that is pushing dads, males, into education. You know, I'm really keen. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And I've kind of only really taken it seriously for the last few years, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, in terms of the idea of males. You know, it sounds biased, but this space is for dads and for males. Um, the idea that I really want to push more fathers, more dads, more males into education. Um, I don't know what that looks like, but I have some ideas. So and that only really comes from my own narratives, you know, my own story. That's, I guess, that kind of philosophy, or that idea came from my own journey. Um, you know, growing up in Porirua, um, playing for Norths at the time, and also, ooh, my battery's really low. Sorry, people. Gonna cut it short, I think, tonight. So yeah, so growing up in Porirua, playing rugby for Norths, and I went and studied quite early. Like, I think after a year out of school, I went straight to Polytech, and and study. So I was quite fortunate in that way. So and I just kind of fell into it by accident. It's not like I planned it, but definitely I was supported by my parents and my family at the time, you know, pushing me to go and study. So the outcome, you know, I'm very happy with the outcome, um, because, you know, it's when you're young male, the dream is to make it in terms of becoming a rugby player, professional rugby player, or a professional sports player anyway, whatever sport. Um, but what I've seen over the years with some of the brothers that we journey with, they continue on to play rugby, but they education become really non-existent really at the time for them, and that's cool, you know. Um, but the impact of that after they go through the journey of rugby, some of them did really well, made it to the All Blacks, Hurricanes, Lions, man, big ups to those guys. But and then some of the brothers didn't go past that, you know, that premier level of rugby. Um, and then there was, you know, I saw, it was sad to see a lot of those brothers just had nothing to do really. That's what it was. And I'm not talking about just Norths. I'm talking about in terms of rugby, and this is specifically for rugby because that's all I know. So yeah, so seeing some of the brothers not making it through rugby, but and then had nothing to I guess fall back on. And I've heard this quoted. I've heard this conversation when I was coming through school rugby. You know, they've always been told, make sure you pick something to do. So if you don't make it in rugby, you've got this to fall back on. There was a lot of talk around that, but however, there was no real actions in terms of implementing that plan or making that plan become a reality for some of the brothers. So, and that's why I'm very passionate about it, because I don't want the next generation, my kids' generation, to grow up and the same conversations taking place. You know, and I'm stoked to see some of the Hurricanes boys. I heard that you know, they're training but also studying. I think the Warriors also put through some of their players through a business course. So that's something, you know, at least when you finish your rugby career, you've got a business mentality to go back into. Um, but when you see brothers who made it to the top and now they're back and they have to kind of start again, you know, that's quite. I mean, nothing's wrong with that, but I just feel for them because they work so hard in this other element, and then that element ran out, and now they have to come back and start again. Where if we can try and balance the both, and help our brothers, we need to implement something in place, put something in place so that the rugby is going, but also this other thing, the second chance to life is also taking place. So whatever happens first, if rugby doesn't happen, then you got this parallel element that you can rely on. So yeah, so we need as fathers to come together and sort that out. We need to push that. So part of what I'm doing through my work at the Wananga Aotearoa is really advocating for our fathers, for males, to come in and do degrees, diplomas, and so forth. I'm not saying I'm like all there. I'm not saying, oh yeah, I'm the man. No, but I saw an opportunity to support and advocate for our people, for our brothers. So right now it's awesome to see some of the brothers doing a degree in social work. Yeah, which is my field. And we need more people, more, especially males. We need more social work males. We need more teachers. We need more. I don't know, whatever that you're interested in, whatever that you're passionate about. We need more of you in those spaces. Um, Even qualified coaches, it's good to see some of those rugby players after they play professional rugby, they transition into coaching. But the thing is, you're only going to get X amount of coaches, X amount of teams. So we need to, yeah, really, really, as a community, as people, we need to encourage our brothers to look at another avenue in terms of a career in parallel with their rugby. I'm not saying to stop their rugby, no. If that's your talent, man, go for it. But also look at a parallel element or option for you to have the two, just to be secure. We all know the risk that rugby brings, or sports in general, in terms of injuries. You can be earning whatever amount of money, X amount of money, and then get injured one time, and then that's it. So, but at least you got something else. This is nothing new. People, people are like, this is not a new thing. People, I've heard this when I was coming through schools, but the thing is, nothing has been put in place apart from people just kind of talking about it. So yeah, so it's time. I think it's really, really time for us to look at implementing something like this. I know with the Hurricanes, I know that they're putting something in place where Arden David is doing this kind of thing, and hopefully that and I've seen the impact of it already. With some of the brothers who are doing really well with their rugby, but also having a business on the side. So that's awesome to see. So we need more of that, eh? That's what I'm saying. But if that can happen at a All Blacks level, Hurricanes level, why not taking place? Why not the same framework be applied at a club level? Just a thought. I think a lot of clubs, I'm gonna say it, have the accountability to implement something like that. They are accountable to implement such process or such system or that kind of framework into their structure in terms of looking after their players. I think we've gone past now the times of, oh yeah, come play for us and I'll give you a job, or come and play for us and you work for blah, blah, blah at our club. That's cool, but the thing is with that, it's only short term. But we need to look after our people, and especially once again our young males. Young males that's going to become great men, young males that's going to become great fathers, young males that's going to be dads not long from now. So we need to look after. So those guys who are coming from under 19s, 21s, we need to tap into those guys. And the conversation needs to happen too in first 15 levels. So they need to start thinking about these things. And I'm sure it's taking place in other parts of the world and other parts of the country, and that's cool. But specifically for my beloved Porirua City, I think we need to do more of these kind of projects in. I'm going to be biased in rugby and rugby league. So yeah, so we need to implement these kind of projects to look after our players. Unlucky use.